I'm Chris Moats, and welcome to The Good Life. Around our kitchen table, we talk about the stuff that matters. So pull up a chair as we visit with real people and talk about love and loss, sacrifice and salvation. At this kitchen table, we don't have all the answers, but we do believe that life is good. And we want you to hear the stories of everyday heroes living the good life. Well, welcome back for another episode, folks, of The Good Life. This episode, we're joined by MacKenna Greene, a young mom with a uniquely powerful and important story, as well as Kevin Theriot, senior counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom, who represents Chelsea Minnick, a nurse practitioner who helped MacKenna at a pivotal moment in her life. MacKenna and Kevin, both of you, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
really happy to have you on with us today. And MacKenna, you've got just a great story that we want to get into. It's a story that we haven't heard. We've heard a lot of different stories here in The Good Life of mostly women kind of, just different experiences of adoption or foster, of miscarriage, abortion, kind of the whole gamut of motherhood and healthcare. But your story is a story that we, like I said, we haven't heard yet, that surrounding a topic that is sometimes called abortion pill reversal. And we're going to get into all that. But I want to begin, MacKenna, just with a question that we begin with just a lot of our guests. We can get a sense of who you are and where you're coming from. Do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, kind of your upbringing, family life, and just some of the background of your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a younger brother who's actually 5, but I've had a really great family environment. I have a mother that loves me unconditionally. I'm currently residing in Colorado Springs, Colorado, kind of where that story takes place. And I have a 2.5-year-old and a little boy, and then that's me and my boyfriend. And we couldn't, be more ecstatic about the results of the abortion pill reversal, of course, and then just being able to grow our happy, healthy family.
Oh, that's beautiful. And we're going to get into kind of your most recent pregnancy, your baby girl, but just in terms of, I don't know, family background, our listeners are going to hear about a really profound choice that you made to seek this progesterone treatment. But there's something maybe in your roots that I don't know. Were you raised with kind of an ethic of pro-life or not? Was this something that, is there something in the background there?
Yeah, so I admitted I was raised Christian, loosely. I would kind
Okay,
of
sure.
be determined, not the best churchgoer, but with those values, with those ethics, of course. And as I got into my more adolescent years, I'd kind of grown far from the church, and I'll be honest, I identified more on that agnostic front. I just didn't really know what was going on. I didn't have really a great opinion about anything going on anymore. And that's kind of how I was living my life up until recently with the developments with that abortion, the attempted abortion that I did, and that reversal. I'll be honest that is kind of what grew me to God.
Really?
And I could not be more grateful for, that relationship. I absolutely believe that, he played the biggest role in saving my little girl, and I'm more kicking myself for not, growing closer to him before all of this had happened.
Oh, that's beautiful. And maybe we can come back to that later, but I don't want to leave our listeners hanging for too long. Can you tell us, because what's the story here? Tell us about, so you've got a little boy who's not yet 3, but it would have been maybe late 2023 or early 24.
Yeah.
You found out you were
So,
expecting your second pregnancy. Tell us about that.
of course, yeah. So I first found out I was pregnant with my second late December of 2023. So um, upon finding that out, it was an unplanned pregnancy that brought on a string of emotions. And I will be very honest that none of them at the time were happy or excited or joyful. I was scared, I was upset, and I was regretful. I was, dreading what this was going to bring to my family, the dynamic, financially, everything.
Yeah.
Couple days later, we're in, early January 2024, and I took that first pill in the chemical abortion protocol.
Yeah.
Um, I will, kind of stress that up until taking that pill, yes, I wasn't necessarily excited that I was pregnant again, but I was still having to convince myself I was making the right choice. No, this is what you have to do. This is what, you need to do for your career, for your finances, in
Yeah.
order to succeed in life. You're not ready for this. And
Yeah.
so this is something you have to do, MacKenna.
Yeah.
So I'll say that, those moments leading up to taking the pill, the day that the preceding hours, after taking that pill, it filled with, regret, knowing that this wasn't the right decision for me. So finally I reached a breaking point and I said, no, something's telling me that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And I had reached out to abortion pill reversal.
Yeah.
I got connected with them. They in turn got me connected with Chelsea Minnick,
Yeah.
my other savior in all of this, and she got me started on the abortion pill reversal protocol, the progesterone, right away. She, sent that prescription in. She went the extra mile. She wanted to see me in her office the very next morning, to just to take a pulse for
Yeah.
where things were at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really. So from there, we established a great patient, and provider relationship. She saw me throughout the duration of that pregnancy. And because of her and, her efforts, I delivered a healthy, happy, beautiful girl last month.
Bravo. Congratulations. First of all, it's
Thank you.
little girls are just a gift. I want
Yeah.
to turn back just because this might, a lot of our listeners that maybe haven't been in your situation, mechanically, like what are the mechanics of access to the abortion pill protocol? Do you kind of go online and it gets shipped through the mail? Do you go see a doctor? How does that work for those of us who wouldn't know?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's as easy as you ordering, the kit online.
Really?
So it's very unfortunate that it is far easier to obtain the abortion pill than it is to obtain the life-saving care to save that baby. I didn't have to meet with any providers. I, Googled abortion pill,
Yeah.
and there are a couple options, and I selected, one of the sites. They mailed me a kit, and it showed up at my door really quickly. And
So there's
from
no
there,
there's no like phone call or Zoom call with a doctor or provider even. It was just you can fill out the form online and then it comes in the mail.
yep, it was a little questionnaire. I did have to take a picture of like myself with my driver's license so that
Okay.
they knew I was the person, but
Okay.
that was the extent of the, um, I guess, investigating that they did on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So you also shared just about some of the emotions and we've heard some of these stories on the show before too. And just a lot of fear, anxiety, like what's this going to mean? Um, and that's, abortion comes to mind.
Mhm.
Can you tell us just about some of the emotions or, what was the experience of connecting with Chelsea? And then there's a moment in which you're sort of pivoting from abortion and going through with the 2-pill protocol to, okay, making the choice, progesterone treatment.
Mhm.
What's some of the, I guess, the interior experience, the emotions and what's going through your mind in making that transition?
Yeah, it was absolutely a battle with myself. I, again, was very convinced that I could not continue with, the newer career path that I'd selected.
Mm,
Financially, it just seemed more debilitating if I were to proceed with this pregnancy. So, on the other hand, I am an empath, and I, didn't want to take, this baby's life, and I was imagining, what she would look like when she was older. And
mm,
so I'm really at a battle with myself in my brain telling me, no, this is what you need to do in order, to be who you want to be in the future. And then my heart is just telling me, think of the repercussions. This is something that you will live with, the rest of your life. Either way, it's a life-changing decision, but on one path, there's going to be, no regret. No one really ever regrets the children that they have. They regret the children that they didn't have.
yeah.
And so that was, screaming at me as well. But I will say that the turning moment was actually my mom. I was at home all day. after I'd, taken the pill. And she actually surprised me. She came over and I kind of just broke down in front of her. And I think that she was kind of a sign from God that, hey, you're not alone in this. You can do it. You have,
Mm.
there are so many women with less that, do more, with that. That don't take that easy way out, quote unquote, easy way out of just ending the pregnancy. And so it was a very emotional. She, had said, well, is there anything we can do? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. And I just Googled, can you reverse an abortion or abortion pill reversal, something along those lines. And
Yeah.
abortion pill reversal was that first selection that popped up. So,
Well, that's beautiful. I'm getting a little misty right now.
yeah.
I mean, because the intro tagline of this show is like the everyday heroes, right? And I'm just so struck that there is such a profound heroism. Like there's actually something incredibly great in the full human sense of that word in your choice that you made on that day. Like that's heroic, but also your mom and
Yeah.
just like the encouragement and the mother's love, like that's true. I'm just really struck by like the heroism of your mom in like this, it's going to be okay. Like, I mean, how,
Mhm.
boy, you maybe can't see it, but I sprung a leak. It's,
No, I did too. I know I'm trying to
yeah,
keep it together here, but every time that I look at her, I remember that. Or when I see her holding, her granddaughter, in my mind, and sometimes I'll even tell her, I'm like, she's here because of you. You
yeah,
were because of that, and of course, Chelsea and her efforts, and her just giving us, both the life-saving care of
yeah.
the progesterone and the abortion pill reversal. So many heroes in this story, I think.
Well,
Definitely them.
let's talk about Chelsea because I'm so struck by this difference between getting the abortion pills, effectively no relationship with a provider. It's all online. You never have any personal contact. And then you get in touch with Chelsea and she says, come in. I want to see you. And so there's
Hmm.
right away, there's like human to human contact, which is,
Yeah,
so what was your experience of getting to know Chelsea and then, kind of starting and going through the progesterone protocol?
of course. Yeah. So on the phone with her, that was how we first got connected after abortion pill reversal had set me in contact with her. And she was very much, just warm, I guess is a really great way to explain it. Up until this process, I'd just kind of been in contact with like cold computers and coldness just from like that scenario. So immediately upon hopping on the phone with her, I didn't know, would she be angry at me? Would she be disappointed? Would she be looking at me and telling me, well, you made this mistake and now you're gonna have to live with it for the rest of your life, and there's nothing that anyone can do, just kind of honing in. But she was nothing like that. She was so warm, so engaging, so understanding. She, from that phone call up until meeting with her in person that next day, she was non-judgmental,
Mm.
and just letting me know, hey, we have hope here, we have hope. And she actually took an ultrasound at the appointment that I saw her at that next morning. And she wrote that word on the ultrasound. She said, MacKenna, take this home with you, hang it up, do whatever you need. And, we've got God in our corner now. And at
Mm.
that point, I'm turning to him more, please, I'm sorry for defying you these, last years, but please give me my daughter.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Was there
Yeah.
a moment in which you kind of knew that it was going to be okay, or was the pregnancy touch and go? Because a progesterone protocol can be pretty successful, I think, if you get to it quickly, but at the same time, there's still, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
What was the experience of the whole pregnancy?
Yes. So I had a relatively like just uncomplicated pregnancy after I was started on that protocol. I was a little bit scared of getting my hopes up, so I don't know that I really felt confident and comfortable that, we'd caught everything in time until, I was well into maybe even my second trimester. Just because, I'm a little bit of a worrywart on that. But in my meeting with Chelsea, She obviously told me that nothing was, guaranteed, as you mentioned. She didn't want to make me any promises she couldn't keep. But she continued to just give me hope. And she had said, if you, keep, it's kind of like another mental game. Like, you're going to feed your body what it needs. And so feeding it positivity would absolutely, help on that front. And so kind of clung to that. And I didn't have any other complications. I had a great delivery. She actually, I think, was in better health than my 2-year-old. And I didn't take progesterone with him. So I absolutely, yeah, can attribute that to, her care and that progesterone treatment.
So, kind of looking back on this experience of, from late 2023, finding out what you're expecting, all the way up through today, you mentioned earlier just this experience has been one in which the Lord, God, has just become more alive or more real or closer. Can you kind of just speak to that aspect of how your own faith has developed over the course of the last year or so?
Of course, yeah. So as I mentioned, I was probably more on that agnostic front, just not really sure, not really believing either side had hold of me, I guess, just kind of in the Switzerland area. And upon, deciding, no, this was what I wanted, I was begging, God, look, I'm desperate here. I know that coming to you and I need something is not what you want. It's not the way this works. I know that. But I would give my own life just to be able to give her life. And I think when you reach that point of desperation for your child, and then you get to grasp onto it, it gives that realness. It gives God a face. It gives him that life in your life. And so my boyfriend and I started attending a church nearby before we even knew if it had worked. And I just was kind of looking like, hey, can you give me a sign? Like, am I doing the right things here? When you're new into finding God again, that's kind of the way your brain can work. And so really fell head over heels into God and worshiping and working for him instead of, begging him to work for us. And so we've been very consistent, an avid churchgoer since then. And we actually named our daughter Selah, kind of as an ode to, his world and, what he's given to us. So that's her name.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And for listeners that wouldn't know this necessarily, Selah is throughout the Psalms, and I think it means rest. It's interjected in between sort of parts of the Psalms to just like let's rest for a moment with this goodness. Correct. So really, that's awesome. That's so good. Just beautiful to hear that, and you've got a 2.5-year-old boy and now an infant girl. So I'm sure there's, like any parent, there's exhaustion that's part of this too. And, that life is full. Before we turn to Kevin, I want to ask if there are any young women that maybe find themselves in a place like you where they have a pregnancy that wasn't expected and they're flooded with emotions of fear or anxiety or what am I going to do? What counsel would you have for them? Any words of wisdom or advice?
Of course, I would first tell them that, you regret the children you don't have, not the children you do have. And that, if it's tough and you're being challenged, that's good. You are going to grow through that and you're going to become, a better person, a better parent, a better follower of Jesus, throughout this process. Things are only going to get better from there. They have to get worse before they get better. But even more importantly, on top of that, I would stress that if you're having to tell yourself what to do, if you're having to convince yourself you're making the right decision, you're not. And that will become very, very prevalent in the near future after you're, suffering any consequences that you decide to make. And I guess I would just really, really want to stress that currently Colorado has this life-saving care as illegal right now. So Chelsea was not allowed to, give me that life-saving care, and she did. So,
Wow.
I absolutely, I'll double back to what we were saying before about heroes, and she's absolutely one. She defied the law in order to be able to give me, that life-saving care, and it worked. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and that's a great segue. I hadn't realized that what she did was actually illegal in Colorado. I realized there's something legal going on here, but great segue to Kevin Theriot, an attorney with Alliance Defending Freedom, who represents Chelsea Minnick, the nurse practitioner who helped MacKenna with this progesterone protocol to save her baby. Kevin, how did you first, meet Chelsea and come to represent her? What transpired that gave rise to your representation?
Chelsea reached out to us because she was being investigated by the Board of Nursing because an anonymous complaint was filed and said that complained about her offering abortion pill reversal. And so because that's against the law, Chelsea is prohibited from, or under that law, from saving lives like MacKenna's daughter and from even offering that service to people like MacKenna. And so she reached out to us to see if there was anything that we could do to help her challenge this law.
Well, my mind is kind of just blown right now because I literally until this, I didn't realize that this was illegal in Colorado. I thought it was, I don't know, maybe a pending law but how does this, women's choice is sort of the talking point of those who would like to promote abortion. But here is, MacKenna would like to make a choice to save. How do I even reconcile these things? There's such dissonance.
Yeah. Justice Thomas, if you read a book that's sort of like a memoir, he talks a lot about his grandfather, and he used to tell Justice Thomas, he'd say, "Boy, it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't make any sense."
Yeah.
But he'd throw a curse word in there. But some things just don't make sense, and this is one of those things. It really is. It defies logic to understand how you can say you're pro-choice, but you don't want to allow women like MacKenna to be able to choose life for their baby when they regret an initial decision. So I don't think we can make any kind of sense out of it. One thing we do know is that Colorado has a radical pro-abortion agenda, and people like Chelsea who want to give moms like MacKenna hope when they change their minds. They don't go along with that agenda, and so that's why they're being targeted. And let me just say, what MacKenna's story about her faith journey, I had not heard her say that before, and I'm over here tearing up because it is amazing how God works. It reminded me of I think it's Romans 5 talks about the fact that we have hope and through Christ, and we can rejoice on that, but we also rejoice in our trials.
Yes.
Like this difficult thing that MacKenna went through, because trials bring forth perseverance, character, and character, hope. So that's what this is about. It really is about hope.
That same verse came to mind because and that's the theme throughout our whole series of conversations we're having on this program is like, actually, we're not necessarily going out looking for God in these conversations, but when we have conversations with people who have persevered, we always see the fingerprints of the Lord in there. And it's not necessarily that life is poof, all of a sudden you win the lottery and all of your hardships have evaporated. But actually there's the presence of God in these little ways like actually brings meaning. And there's something that is built up in our hearts that is just so, it's heroic. It really, it's amazing to see. Kevin, can you, we've gotten to hear MacKenna's story. Can you share just a little bit about, who Chelsea is your client? All we really know about her, I guess, to this point in the story is she's a nurse practitioner. Who is she?
Well, Chelsea has dedicated her life to making sure that she's saving lives and helping women, not only in situations like this that MacKenna has, but she does well women checkups. She's a nurse practitioner, and she has a clinic that is, she offers all of her services at free or low cost. And her mission is to help women make sure that they are succeeding and living the life that and health and have the health that God has designed them to live. And the more I get to know Chelsea, the more I respect and admire her. She is willing to defy the law. Now, just to correct the record a little bit, she actually thought, even though the law prohibited her from offering that to MacKenna, she thought that a court order that was in place at the time prohibited Colorado from prosecuting her.
Okay.
But it didn't. So that's why we got involved.
Gotcha.
Our friends at Beckett Fund represent Bella Health, and they got a court to put this law on hold. But that only applied to the Bella Health folks.
Gotcha.
So we intervened in the case, and the court expanded that to include Chelsea. So now she can continue to provide the progesterone therapy to women like MacKenna, and she's had several other successful treatments where I know the baby, the pregnancy is ongoing. It wasn't terminated by the first abortion pill. And I think there's been another one besides MacKenna that has had a baby after going through the abortion pill reversal protocol.
Okay. In last 30 seconds here, Kevin, kind of final word. What do you hope for in the outcome of your representation of Chelsea?
Just getting the word out that women do regret their abortions oftentimes, just like MacKenna did. And some choose to reverse the effects of that abortion, that chemical abortion process. And states like Colorado shouldn't be allowed to prevent Chelsea from providing that life-saving care and from saving lives.
Thank you so much, MacKenna Greene and Kevin Theriot. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Good Life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Have a great day.
You too. And thank you, as always, dear listeners, for tuning in. Hey, I've got my No on G sticker on here. We are in election season coming up on November 5th, but hey, why wait? You might get a flat tire. You might, break down in the country. Get down to your local courthouse. You can vote early. Did you know that? You don't even really need it used to be that you had to have a really good reason. Now you can show up and you can vote absentee day of. So don't wait. Go out, vote no on Amendment G, which would legalize abortion up to the moment of birth in South Dakota, take away parents' rights. To all of our friends and neighbors out there, I'm Chris Motes. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Good Life. Until next time, be good.